Shove it, man!
Okay, the Hawk is back and fighting fit, and if you don't agree with that, I'll choke you out legit. Today is just a little re-upload of a video that's not been on here for a couple of years. You spend a couple of days working on a video, you're going to want to get it on here. So if you don't like it, you can get it. Okay, Dan Severn, the Beast, he has a weird mustache that got investigated by the police. This one is going to be very interesting for me because I don't really remember anything about him apart from a match against The Rock and of course the terrible Brawl for All. I'm really interested to see what the Shove It squad think of this guy. He's notorious for being a great wrestler with zero personality. In fact, Russo wanted to write 666 on his head and have him join the Undertaker's ministry. I'd take a brick to the head for that to have happened. Sounds hilarious. Severn debuts on Raw, completely destroying the headbangers. He suplexed them all over the place. Match 1, Raw. Dan Severn with Jim Cornette. He's got the NWA title and a bunch of UFC titles with him. Like that impresses anyone. And he takes on Flash Funk. Severn quickly hits a waistlock takedown whilst Flash Funk desperately struggles towards the ropes. He snaps off a fireman's carry takedown and tries to put on an armbar, but Flash makes the ropes again. Flash does manage to land a kick to the gut and some shoulder thrusts in the corner, but Severn snaps and hits a spinebuster, and then he won't stop slapping Flash Funk. He almost gets DQ'd from this attack. He tries a gut-wrench suplex, but Flash counters and lands on top of him. They get straight back to their feet where Severn hits a huge overhead suplex. Flash Funk is then straight up hitting a kick. Severn again isn't affected and he hits a slam whilst holding onto Funk's arm, and he quickly makes him tap out. A decent debut, but the crowd didn't know what to think. It's a C for this high-impact debut. Match 2, Raw. Mosh with Thrasher versus Dan Severn with Jim Cornette. Severn quickly hits a fireman's carry takedown. He follows it up with a waistlock takedown and Mosh has to make the ropes. Mosh manages to take Severn down by his legs and he tries to out-wrestle him. Bad move. Dan Severn has enough of these games and hits a big gut-wrench slam, and then he picks Mosh up and hits an overhead suplex. He then picks him straight up again and hits 2 more suplexes. I've never seen so many suplexes in such a short space of time. Severn eventually gets distracted as Mosher is beating up his manager and he gets a short-term advantage. Severn gives him a hard slam and then follows it up with a more powerful variety. He locks on the armbar and gets the tap-out win. The crowd still don't know what to think, but it's still fun watching him throw jobbers around. Another C. But the real question is, just how many suplexes and slams was that in a 3-minute match? And the answer is 8. It was like playing a video game. Severn is now no longer with Jim Cornette as they had a little fallout. Match 3, Raw. Dan Severn versus Savio Vega, who would later become known as Savio Vega. It starts out looking like a real fight you might see at Last Call. Severn tries to go for the single leg but is unsuccessful, so instead he gives him a belly-to-belly suplex. Savio starts dominating in this 2-minute match and he gets a 2 count. Severn decides to do something finally and he hits a rough-looking power slam. He puts on the armbar and it's over. This one sucks and it looked like Savio was fighting him all the way. The crowd are dead and so am I. This one's a D. Match 4, Raw. Owen Hart versus Dan the Beast Severn. This one could be good. Severn starts out with a fireman's carry takedown. Not once, not twice, but thrice, and it sure wasn't nice. He puts on the armbar but Owen makes the ropes. Owen Hart starts kicking Severn, but then he blocks it and picks him up and nails him with a choke slam. Severn then gets a 2 count on a cradle. Owen Hart's now awake and he kicks Severn out of the ring. He batters Severn on the outside of the ring and brings him back into the ring, hitting a European uppercut. Owen hits a big gut wrench but doesn't make the cover. Severn turns the match around in the corner and delivers knees and shoulders. Owen Hart panics and boots him square in the nutsack. For some reason the ref doesn't throw this one out. Owen hits a double leg takedown and tries to batter Severn, but Severn slaps him back. The Beast then sends him running and he hits a big slam. He locks on the armbar, but D'Lo Brown and the rest of the nation run into the ring and we get a 5-on-1 beatdown on Severn. He gets hit with a rock bottom and a couple of splashes from Henry. They try to Pillmanize him, but some geeks stop them. It was interesting for the 5 minutes we got. It's a D. Match 5, Raw. King of the Ring Qualifier. D'Lo Brown versus Dan Severn, who is starting to get a crowd reaction in his little grey shirt. They get in each other's faces and D'Lo slaps him. Severn flips and he takes him down with a double leg. D'Lo's punches seem to have some extra sting in them tonight. Severn manages to get his waist and he hits a couple of takedowns until D'Lo elbows him square in the jaw. D'Lo sends him running and hits a spinning heel kick. D'Lo Brown starts getting a bit ahead of himself and he gets nailed with a belly to belly. Severn follows that up with a clothesline. Dan then delivers him the first German suplex of the video. He puts a bow and arrow submission hold on D'Lo and he screams and dumps in his nappy. The match is over. Owen Hart jumps him after the match. The pain D'Lo went through would lead to him wearing his chest protector. This one was okay, but the matches aren't long enough to get above a C. It's pretty fun watching him destroy guys. Match 6, Raw Tag Match, Owen Hart and Mark Henry versus Dan the Beast Severn and Ken Shamrock. They are tag team partners who don't get on. Shamrock starts the match, but he doesn't even get a choice. Shamrock gets beaten up for a while before Severn forces his way into the match. He hits 2 big belly to bellies on Mark Henry, and that's a lot of belly. Owen Hart gets the tag, but immediately gets a double leg takedown. Severn locks on the waist lock and then he hits a German. He wants to end the match with a submission, but the world's strongest man breaks it up. Owen gives Severn a spinning heel kick and he brings the big man back in. The Nation members double team him in the corner while Shamrock accidentally distracts the referee. Owen tries a missile drop kick, but he smacks his own partner, allowing Severn to get his partner back in. Owen Hart seems like he's got the match won with the sharpshooter, but he doesn't make him tap out because DX will charge out and beat them all up. The match is thrown out. Severn just stands around like a gormless moron, not having a clue what to do. Who am I feuding with, he's thinking. There's only one place this match belongs and it's called the Shove It Zone, there's no need to moan. Match 7, Raw, King of the Ring tournament match, Dan Severn versus Owen Hart, who has the awesome Nation music with the screaming Owen Hart quotes. Love this one. Severn nails the first big move with a heavy looking spear. Severn then manages to go behind and hits a big belly to back suplex. He gets up and has Owen's leg, but he dawdles and gets an enziguri kick for his trouble. Owen snaps off a fisherman suplex for a 2 count. The Blackheart then follows it up with a back breaker. Owen tries an Irish whip across the ring, which Severn turns around and hits a belly to belly. We've got a good back and forth match here as Owen stops his offense with a net breaker. Owen then brings a chair into the match because he's losing and Severn wants to use it. Owen waits around on the outside of the ring like an idiot and suddenly X-Pat runs up behind him and smashes Owen with the chair. Severn puts on the bow and arrow submission that he did to D'Lo to end the match for a submission win. Way to make Owen Hart look like an idiot. Well, that aside, I'm enjoying these clashes. Sadly, it's the Attitude Era and we won't get anything longer. I guess I have to factor that into my decisions. This one's a C. Match 8, King of the Ring 1998 semi-final. The Rock with the Godfather and Mark Henry, actually they're both sent to the back, versus Dan the Beast Severn, who somehow looks even more miserable than usual here. Dan immediately scores a single leg takedown. The Rock seems hesitant. Severn goes behind the Rock with a belly to back. You don't often see the Rock dumping in his nappy, but he does here. Severn takes the Rock down again with a double leg as the Rock says damn it into the camera. The Rock manages to gain the advantage through cheating, but not for long as he misses an attack in the corner. Severn gives him a fireman's takeover and then he tries to make the Rock tap. The Rock's not having it and he hits a hard clothesline. Then he starts messing around. Rocky hits a suplex for a 2 count. Severn gets desperate and he starts throwing punches to the gut, which you don't normally see from him. We get a double down and the Godfather appears on the ring apron. With everyone distracted, D'Lo Brown reappears after a few week hiatus to hit the lowdown from the top with his new chest protector. Rocky wins the match. Pretty cool that they actually told a month worth of story here with Dan Severn versus the Nation and D'Lo returning and getting revenge for the Nation. It wasn't really a good match though. These two guys didn't match up well at all. It's probably all downhill from here though. He's lost his first match. This one also goes to the Shove It Zone. Match 9. Talking of Shove It Zone. Brawl for all. God, we've got some shit to dump out here. Dan the Beast Severn versus the Godfather. The Godfather actually leaves Severn on his back first. Severn sort of then manages a takedown and then both guys slowly jab at each other. Severn tries another takedown to end the first round. The crowd are already booing and we're only on round 1. Severn wins the first round with 1 takedown. The second round starts with the Godfather trying to land some punches. He then misses a punch which allows Severn to land another takedown on the ropes. Both men continue slowly moving around the ring. Severn keeps trying his takedowns as the second round ends. The crowd are so bored they're crying. The crowd chant, "We want wrestling." The breaks between the rounds are longer than the bloody rounds. Godfather wins the second round on punches thrown. Shame he didn't punch him in the gut. The third round starts. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. It's over. A lot of people look pissed. Severn wins the match because he sort of managed to take him down 3 times. One of the worst matches I've ever seen. It's an S. Severn would then withdraw from this tournament because it sucked. The Brawl for all can shove it. Match 10, Raw. Owen Hart versus Dan the Beast Severn. This one starts out with Jason Sensation doing an Owen Hart impression, so that's something good. This one is an open challenge, so I guess that's why Severn's wearing a suit. Owen holds his tie and keeps punching him down. Owen Hart scores a double leg and he puts the sharpshooter on. Severn immediately counters it and he starts trying to strike Owen. Ken Shamrock suddenly sprints into the ring and he hits a high impact clothesline. Severn puts on a brutal looking dragon sleeper with him distracted. The geeks can't pull them apart. Steve Blackman eventually comes and calms them all down. It wasn't much of a match, but it was good to see some intensity and something a bit different. It's a D. Match 11, Raw, European title match. The champion D'Lo Brown versus the challenger Dan Severn, who is in his wrestling gear this time. D'Lo Brown jumps in before he can even get in the ring. He hits him with a spinning heel kick and his buddy Mark Henry marches out to join D'Lo. The master of the lowdown then hits a clothesline in the corner and a hard slam in the middle of the ring. D'Lo hits the head-shaped leg drop as Steve Blackman comes out to observe the match. D'Lo is strangely dominating this one. D'Lo Brown starts chopping Severn's sweat patch, which seems to wake the mustache man up, who hits a double leg. He follows up with a judo throw. Severn gives him a couple of belly-to-belly suplexes before Ken Shamrock storms out and he destroys the nation on the outside of the ring. D'Lo wins the match by DQ. It seems like they're building towards a Severn-Shamrock matchup. They have one win each in UFC at this point. This match sucked, isn't it? Match 12, triple threat. Ken Shamrock versus Dan the Beast Severn versus Owen Hart with Mark Henry, The Rock and D'Lo. Let's be honest, this match doesn't need Owen Hart in it. Owen charges straight at Shamrock while Severn watches on gormlessly. He just stands there while they beat the piss out of each other. The ref keeps asking him what he's doing. He even lets them make covers on each other. Why did he even bother coming out to the ring? 5 minutes pass with Severn refusing to move. I'm not making this up. Eventually, Severn decides to break up a Shamrock pin while Shamrock grits his teeth at him. Shamrock soon has a shocked expression on his face as Owen Hart grabs him from behind and hits a suplex. Severn then continues doing absolutely nothing. Shamrock eventually gets the ankle lock on and Severn pulls him back and puts on the dragon sleeper. It seems like it might be over, but Owen Hart starts stamping on Shamrock. JR declares on commentary that Severn is the winner via chokeout. Severn refuses to let go, so I guess he's a heel now. Steve Blackman tries to play peacekeeper again, but Severn turns on him. Him and Owen beat up Steve Blackman. Well, at least something has changed now. The match was terrible from Severn's point of view, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because it's something new. It's a D. Now this next one is weird to me because the story has since emerged that Shamrock and Severn didn't want to have a one-on-one in the WWF because they were tied one each in UFC and they didn't want to waste a potentially big UFC payday. They didn't want to have their deciding match in the WWF. Despite that. Match 13, Raw, Ken Shamrock versus Dan the Beast Severn. The commentary team are hyping this up as Shamrock Severn 3. Shamrock misses with a roundhouse kick and then Severn takes him down. He tries a spinning leg lock which Shamrock turns around on him. Severn then counters an ankle lock. Both men are just rolling around on the floor holding each other's legs. Shamrock tries his own double leg which Severn counters into a new move, a power bomb. He doesn't want to end the match via pinfall though. Severn then gets up and hits him with a front suplex and now strangely he does want to pin him. Severn then hits a fireman's carry but he can't put on the armbar. Shamrock turns it around with an arm drag. Ken Shamrock tries to start a comeback but he gets power slammed out the corner for a 2. Severn then whips Shamrock across the ring and he hits a big fireman's carry slam. Severn gets Shamrock on the ropes and the ref tries to stop him. Whilst that's going on, Owen Hart appears and he starts beating on Shamrock. The ref sees it and the match is thrown out. So I guess Ken Shamrock won their third bout. A lot of money was left on the table here. This whole thing is essentially happening because Severn is training Owen Hart for his Lion's Den match against Shamrock. Steve Blackman is here again and he takes Severn out. What a fun little segment that was though. It feels like when you watch Dan Severn you're playing a wrestling video game and you're trying out all the moves your character has. This one's a low B, short but enjoyable. Match 14, Raw, submission match, Dan Severn. Why does he suddenly have his old belts back? He's taking on Owen Hart. This one's happening because Owen Hart lost his Lion's Den match against Ken Shamrock. Severn threw in the towel. Owen charges straight at him, which was a mistake as he gets a belly to belly. Severn picks him up and powers him down by the ropes. Owen returns the favour and tries a submission but he gets an overhead throw. Severn then hits another belly to belly. He quickly follows up with a running power slam. No one's staying down for long as Owen hits a spinning heel kick and then his own belly to belly. Things get weird now. Severn goes behind and tries his choke. Then instead he picks Owen up overhead who goes behind him and he hits him with a sit-out pile driver. Owen checks to see if he's okay and then the ref checks on him too. Severn keeps saying that he can't feel his arms, so they're doing an injury angle. JR says on commentary, oh well, we've got to take a break. When they come back from that break, Severn is in a neck brace and is going on a stretcher. Well, none of this is actually real and fair play to Severn for selling this angle so well. I actually had to look up if this was real. This was used to get Owen Hart into the Blue Blazer gimmick and also get Severn off TV for a bit. Another good Severn segment, this is a B for the whole thing. Match 15, 3 months later, Dan Severn vs Steve Blackman. Steve runs straight at our guy with a dropkick. He then dodges a clothesline and hits a belly to belly. Eventually Blackman misses an attack in the corner and Severn hits a belly to belly of his own and a massive double leg takedown. He starts shoving Blackman's head into the mat. Steve Blackman isn't having it and he drops Severn on his face. He hits him with a scoop slam but he misses his following elbow. Severn's back in this one and he hits a huge gut wrench suplex. Dan Severn misses his following elbow unfortunately. Blackman knocks him down with a shoulder tackle and he looks to put him away. Severn then suddenly hits a low blow and he gets DQ'd. After the match, Dan Severn puts on his Dragon Sleeper and won't let go. This match can shove it, it's an S. Match 16, Royal Rumble match, 1999. Severn enters pretty early in this match. Now this one has kind of an interesting tale. But first, Severn spears Blackman down. Now whilst all that's going on, and when I say all of that I mean virtually nothing, it's time to tell you what Dan Severn was thinking in his head at the time. Now he said he considered phoning Eric Bischoff to see how much WCW would pay for him to disrupt the Royal Rumble match. As he was a real fighter, he considered eliminating all the WWF superstars and refusing to leave the ring. This would have obviously caused a lot of damage to the WWF's product and increased Severn's value in WCW. Kind of wish something major like this had happened, that would be cool. Unfortunately, Severn won't be going through with this plan. He's eliminated by Mabel along with his best buddy Steve Blackman. This match hits the shove it zone, game over. Okay, so let's keep it brief. What the hell am I supposed to grade this guy? A bunch of short matches with high impact moves and not really a lot else. He had no mic time and the crowd booed and got bored in many of his matches. I actually found him fairly enjoyable, but would I hire a guy from Ring of the Hawk who doesn't have much else going for him? And listening to his interviews, I don't really think he wanted to be in the pro wrestling business. The final grade for Dan the Beast is a D, and if you don't agree with that, I'll make your girl pee.